All right. All right. Welcome to Love Talk, everyone. I'm your host, Charles Dixon, and I am here with the incomparable Mr. Adam Ford. How are you doing today, sir?
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm good, man. How you doing?
Well, I was doing good until someone just, was,
You know what? You know what?
yeah,
Like I said,
someone
I
was
you
kind of
know
tardy.
I was having some technical difficulties. I will admit it. I will take one for the team today. I know better than to try to have a program and then you wait to the last minute to do stuff. I'm a,
Yes, yeah,
it's on me today, y'all. It's on me.
yeah.
Yes, I'm gonna take it.
Somebody said you're gonna take an L for the team today.
I'm
All
gonna take
right,
it
fine.
today, just for
All
today.
right, just for the day. All right, we're
Just
gonna jump. All right, since we are behind the gun, let's jump right on into it, sir. Okay,
yeah,
today's topic is a probably a little slicey dicey, but it's always good to be able to get to the heart of some of these matters that are probably less talked about than often. Okay, now that being said, topic today is the two-sided communication sex produces. The two-sided communication sex produces. Sex will reveal to you the truth about your relationship before your person either shows you the lie or the love of it. So, it lets you know this communication that because I liken sex to an altogether communication of its own.
yeah, it is.
So there is the communication we have outside of the bedroom, and then there is the communication that the two of you have in sync, hopefully in the bedroom, right? So
Right.
the issue I think starts with this is when the two differ, the two languages differ. I
Mhm.
think the languages should be in sync. They should be consistent, and they should. It shouldn't be, put it this way, if you can laugh and have a great time outside the room, right? When you are in the room, that chemistry that you guys have should convey there. If
Right.
there's a disconnect, like if you get along so well outside the bedroom, but in the bedroom, there's the awkwardness, there's the silence. And then, whether we want to be honest or not about it, the results of that bedroom take shape every day and every moment after. It's like when there's like a inconsistency there, things change
Yeah.
and go from there. I have some my notes here, but I'm gonna let you have a little take on what you think, sir. We can go from there.
Well, you know what? Honestly, yeah, you're right. Okay, so yeah, when you're intimate, when you're sexually intimate with somebody, you definitely develop that connection with them, and in fact, it is a form of communication with that person.
Yeah.
You have emotional communication that's taking place. You have mental communication along with physical communication that's actually transpiring during the event. And it's important that we are on the same page in
Yeah.
terms of being with each other in that way. And the hope is that we're both communicating the same ideas to each other. And unfortunately, sometimes when we are not within the parameters of a marriage
Yes.
and
Yeah.
we are single and we do this thing, uh,
Yes.
sometimes we end up on not the same page
Yeah. You're right.
because a lot of times we have different intentions in terms of doing what we do.
Yes.
We have different motivations, so not everything is as clear cut and as well understood as it should be. And so
Hmm.
this is where that duality in communication comes in at, because
Yeah.
again, you start out, one and the same thing, but then after everything has been said and done, are you still on the same page? Are you communicating on that same level that you had previously, or are you done now because you got
Yeah.
what you wanted? You know?
Mm. And like you said, the reason I liken, well, let me first back up to something you said, which was very key that I wanted to implement at the top is ideally, and I'm just gonna get this disclaimer out the way.
Mhm.
Ideally, the sexual activity is was that, from my opinion, and this is just how I was raised, sexual activity was reserved for the marital bedroom, right?
Absolutely.
The
Yes.
circle of trust, if you will.
Yeah.
So I think marriage there's a grace that comes with marriage that handles the inconsistencies of intimacy.
Well, yeah.
There's a grace to come with it. I think that when you're outside of that and you are doing what you do, yeah, you could say, oh, my partner and we're not married yet, or this, that, and the other, and we are both faithful and into one another. You can say that, right? And that's not to say someone is dishonest or whatever, but outside the circle of trust, things can get real inconsistent real quick, right?
Yeah.
It can get really consistent because then there's so many underlying factors. Now, we're not to say that covenant folks cannot step outside the covenant. We're not going to say
That's true.
that. But
Right.
when you're not married, it's probably the likelihood of people exploring different connections is greater, right?
Mm.
It's a greater thing. And so the
Yeah.
one thing I liken this thing to this: when you're in covenant, if you're in covenant, the idea of the man and woman coming together, and whatever brews emotionally goes straight to the heart in an ideal fashion for both
Okay.
parties.
Okay.
But outside of the covenant, it's almost like this is why this is why we have so much. This is like probably one of the reasons we have so much toxicity going on in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of covenant, it's the equivalent, from my perspective, of like when a thief hot wires a car.
Mm-hmm.
He goes in, yeah, we see the keyhole that the normal key takes to get there and
Yeah.
start up, and all the things will work as the manufacturer made them to work. But
Right.
when you hotwire in, you are jigging the normalcy. And now what's happened is, instead of the action going from the love box to the heart, it's going from the love box to the brain, to the mind, which now puts you open to the games. Oh, you playing with me, you're not serious, I don't trust you. All that stuff that's technically outside of the realm of grace, of the circle of trust, comes into play.
Yeah.
And so another one really quick is, my other analogy in that is, I liken, like, the woman's anatomy to me is the equivalent of the black box on a plane. It holds everything. It records everything. It is where the nerve central is located. Honestly, most things are directed or diverted at the black box.
Okay.
And so men, we are to be the air traffic controllers. We're supposed to be able to understand the frequency so that we can navigate it correctly.
Yeah.
And that's why when you have that circle of trust and intimacy, now this isn't to negate proper communication to see whether or not someone is pleased, because I'm not of that whole belief of, yeah, you do the right thing and get married, it's going to work out. That doesn't mean the sexual bedroom is going to work out.
Right.
Without that communication and understanding one another's likes and dislikes, it'll be a catastrophe.
Yeah.
But with that being said, if you're in the right realm, like I said, with the air traffic controller analogy, and if you're reading those signals from your person correctly, you guys are talking, you're saying you like this, you don't, blah, 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 you're able to kind of stay consistently together.
Mm-hmm.
But if you just go in half cocked, just doing what you do, then you run the risk of that whole, the man may be done and he rolls over smiling. And we see so many movies and we hear so many stories where the woman, he's over there like on his knee, he's snoring, and she's like, because she's mad.
Right.
Because the exchange is not fair.
Okay.
From her perspective, the exchange isn't fair. You did this. And if she's looking that way because she knows, if this is the prelude of things to come, we're going to have a problem.
Yeah.
And so now she's going to have to tap into the actor side of her. That means outside of the bedroom, the conversation becomes more and more less authentic, because I'm really feeling a way. I'm just not telling you how I really feel.
Okay.
Because this ain't right. Go ahead.
No. You're onto something with that. I think also it has to do with the fact that, again, here's the thing though. So if communication wasn't the foundation of the relationship prior to the sexual encounter, and then we have sex, and then after that fact, I think what happens often is that within the marriage, let me put it like this: within the marriage, the sexual encounter is the enhancement, it is the enrichment.
Yeah.
But we're always tied to the base. We're always
Mm.
tied to the foundation, which is the communication between the both of us. Okay. So whether or not we have sex or not within the marriage, we're still talking to each other. We're still communicating with one another. We're still sharing ideas. We're still having a conversation. A dialogue is still taking place. Okay. But again, if you're single and this is happening,
Yeah.
it's like like being in Las Vegas. You know what I'm saying? you run the odds of a breakdown in communication because I got what I wanted, or she got what she wanted, or he got what he wanted now.
Yeah.
I'm crossing my fingers, hoping and believing that somebody will respond to my text. I'm hoping and believing that somebody gonna call me back. Don't leave me hanging, boo. Don't leave me hanging.
Man, listen, I can imagine. I mean, you married, I'm not married, but I can imagine it's tough enough maintaining the communication synergy associated with energy there. So outside of marriage and people being, they're just, even with the best of intentions and the best of relational intentions, quote unquote, leading somewhere, it's still, you are trying to grasp, because let's just call it this. The reason I'm putting emphasis on the covenant side of it is, if we are just talking about taking care of your person and making sure that communication in and outside the bedroom coincides together, you got to put in time to do that. Like you gotta, in most cases, you have to constantly see the person. You gotta constantly relate to the person. You get my sure. You have to be intimate often in order to really learn one another's things and understand what makes this and this. And it's like the whole thing, the reason that language becomes fluid, it's like with anything else. Like if I started trying to learn another language tomorrow and pick up Rosetta Stone, right? At first I'm going to be stumbling, but after a while, 3 months down the line, you're going to be like, man, you can speak Iranian really good, whatever that is, right? So in that bedroom, the reason why I said that constant companionship matters is because if you're building something together to hopefully come to a good chemistry of language there on both ends, then it needs to be frequent. That's why the covenant part is the more important part of it, because while we all are grown and we do what we do, let's just be honest. People, whether it's covenant or not, people do what they do. They scratch the itch to, if they're in a relationship or not. Single people, truly single people that's not a relationship, still do it on the terms that they do it. You just don't walk away with that desired communication click that you desire. And this is why there's so much fussing, arguing, disagreeing, because there's people are like, wait, I'm looking to feel something. I need to feel that connection that comes with what we are doing. And if it's not being done correctly, you're going to always come up on the empty side of it. You're going to feel short-sighted. Wait a minute, did the person leave $10 on the dresser? I feel kind of cheap. You're going to think all those things because the chemistry, although you could have the best of chemistry, be attracted to one another, and all that can be great. But because of how it's being done and how infrequent it's being done, it's not being serviced frequently. So mentally, that connection is off, and which causes that distrust and insecurity and those things like that.
You know what other thing occurs to me, and I think this has more. This more or less deals with the covenant side of this whole conversation, and that is the idea of commitment.
Yeah,
that we are committed to each other. See, with the covenant, within the covenant of marriage, you have the principle and the idea of commitment. That no matter what happens outside of the home, inside of the home, between the two of us, we have a commitment to one another to remain with each other. So we are eliminating any type of insecurity that may arise with the idea that, okay, they got what they wanted, now they out the door. You know what I'm saying? But because I have a commitment with you, that I'm going to remain with you and I'm going to be faithful to you, that enables the conversation between the two of us. That enables the communication between the two of us to continue. And the only thing that this does is it reinforces our connection with one another. So I learn how to speak the language of my wife, and my wife learns how to speak my language. We both learn each other's languages as we go along, because we have a commitment to continue to learn and communicate with one another. But when you're outside of the covenant of marriage, when you're outside and you're just putting it out there for anybody to grab a hold of and do with whatever they want to do with, you again, your odds are better in Las Vegas. I'm telling you.
Oh, wow.
you might as well go to the roulette wheel. Let's be honest. Because what is the likelihood of them returning the phone call? Not to say that they won't, but you're left feeling unconnected, disconnected, because there is no commitment between the two of you to continue to communicate with each other outside of the sexual event.
So you know the unfortunate truth about the I guess the unmarried side of it and how folks govern themselves on their side. If you look at most of the relationships outside of marriage, people constantly, you'll find folks constantly trying to mirror marriage like principles, but from a single perspective. They want you to do certain things, act certain ways, be accountable, be all of these things, which are covenant type of treatment and behaviors, right? So we want all these things to happen, but on the side, the only thing is we're outside of this circle and we're trying to come up with these things to make these things feel right, which actually won't feel right until you begin to get into that proper commitment. You know, they can feel, I'm not even going to sit here and lie and say a person can have intimacy outside of marriage and not enjoy it. I'm just saying, I think we just put ourselves in a trick box, getting off into something that ultimately was not designed to serve us well in that space. Right. And it's like, so I think when we're sitting up getting mad and we're just trying to figure this out and why isn't this working like it should? And, it's designed to be enjoyed and understood through the confines of commitment.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And so people are like, wait, I am committed. I'm in a relationship, but it is different because your commitment is really man served. The commitment of covenant is God served. So it has a different mantle over it. Yeah. So you can't expect something from the man-made side of it that you get from the God side of it. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, I'll take my offering now.
I mean, I was about to give you an offering, bro.
but I think it's like when you have these aha moments, we try to justify our existence in and around the covenant truth. But it is what it is, right? It's just, you can't dance around it. It is, what it is. And so the thing that the single people have to be concerned with, unmarried or divorced, what have you, people have to be concerned with when they are having relations. If we're honest, in covenant, it's building. I'm not saying people in covenant always feel like relating to their partner. I'm sure they're tired, all kinds of things happen. You just don't come home with strobe music in the background. It's just don't happen like that. But on the single side of it, even though you have people in relationships trying to get other people to emulate marriage behavior, what ends up happening is the bare root of that starts to turn into, well, if it's not going to be like this, you at least just give me some. It becomes maintenance.
Wow.
It's now a matter of maintenance. It's just like you may not be the best wife or husband material, but I need some maintenance. So, I'll settle for that connection. Wow. And so we know how that communication does not align. It only works on a conditional exchange. It doesn't work in a long term of commitment. It works in the interim, but it doesn't work to sustain, to give a person that type of satisfaction that comes from the right kind of connection.
Wow.
Yeah.
Maintenance. I mean, the whole idea of just, getting somebody to come and service you as if you're taking your car to get your oil changed, or or to, check your engine light to find out what's going on. The fact that we're
Ooh,
only participating in this for the
yeah.
sole purpose of maintenance.
Ooh, yeah.
That's
And
that's
that's
what is
major, but
that's the real thing.
that's
And
a major
that's
truth.
something we need to be able to come to grips with when we do this type of thing. And I was sitting there just thinking to myself, I said, when you don't do this thing right, there are a lot
Yeah,
of consequences
to come
to what
behind it.
you do outside of covenant. It's a whole lot.
Yeah. Oh,
As me,
yes.
as for my house, I want as less consequences I possibly can handle. Look, I already got consequences coming at me. Left, right, you know what I'm saying? Middle.
Right.
I already got yo. I don't need extra consequences in my life right now. Let me at least do this thing the
Yeah.
right way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if yeah, that's who.
But this is the challenge of, but it's like all those old scriptures we had to read when we was kids. This is why now you understand them more clearly as an adult, and this is why it was so much emphasis on acquiring the right mates,
Yeah.
because a person can get a mate and you could be in a marriage, but is it the marriage that you belong in? You understand? Or you're
Oh,
in an annulled commitment. You're just into something. You're in it, but is that where you belong? I just
okay.
happen to believe now. You don't listen to me, and I may have s- circled the barn a little too long, but nonetheless, all I am saying, but I am of the belief that when you are connected to your right spouse, or whatever that is, I just believe that grace and I use the word grace is because I don't like to paint the picture that just because you find this person and you get married that it's a utopia on the other side of the desert.
Right.
The problem is you're going to have normal issues. It's
Yeah.
just that
Yeah.
grace will give you that comfort barrier to say, even though these things up and arise in your marriage, in your bedroom, whatever, this will give you the grace to subside through it.
Okay, so let me
Yeah,
help you with this. Let me help you with this real quick. So here's
yeah,
the thing. The thing is, yeah, we're all gonna have relationship problems inside
yeah,
the marriage, outside the marriage. We're gonna have
yeah,
relationship problems. The benefit of being inside the marriage is the fact that we have made a commitment to work out whatever issues that we have.
mm,
Nobody gets to leave the room until we work this out. Nobody gets to go anywhere until we have a conversation.
mm,
Nobody gets to escape or exit out of this situation until we work this situation out. And see, a lot of times we don't give this enough credit in terms of understanding the value of having this within the covenant, within the commitment of one another to continue to communicate, to continue to reinforce the connection that we have with one another.
yeah,
And the thing of it is, regardless of, because everybody, we're going to have problems.
yeah,
We're two different people coming
yeah,
from two different sides of the world, literally
yeah,
speaking different languages, having
yeah,
different understandings and different upbringings. We are going to clash at some point in time. We
yeah,
may clash often, we may not clash as often. Okay.
yeah.
But the reality is, there has to be the bedrock foundation of a commitment between the two of us where we agree to work it out no matter what. We're going to
Yes.
work it out.
And the bed has to rock, literally. But
Hey,
anyway,
you know what?
so no,
You know what?
can't be in the bed and there's no
Absolutely,
rocking going on.
absolutely
Anyway,
right. The
so
band
yeah.
has to rock. Absolutely, yes.
But you know what else people have to do is like, and now I'm talking just holistically, whether it's covenant or not. The
Yeah,
point is, if people are actively involved in intimate relations and desiring also a strong verbal communication relationship, right? You want to have good communication, you want to have good intimacy communication.
yeah,
You got to first be honest with yourself about the exchange. And what I
yeah.
mean by that, you got to say to yourself, is this just a physical expression because I need it?
Mm,
Or am I
mm.
intending to continue to build this synergy and commitment with this person, even though we're not married, but we're in a committed relationship?
Okay,
Is
okay.
this something that I'm intending to build, or is this something that because it's a huge difference between the building and the expression? Because the physical expression is, hey, I had a really hard day today. I could sure use blah blah blah.
Okay.
And then you find a way to either you get to your person, or if you're not in a relationship, you find a person. You get my drift, and it
Wow.
works. And then you now it's like that stress that you had is like, oh, I'm good now. All right. Then you shift back to reality.
Right.
But that right there is key. You got to ask yourself as an individual person, why am I doing this? Because I say that I enjoy it, but why am I doing it? Am I doing it just for maintenance because I don't have confidence and belief that it's going to be anything else growing from it?
Mm.
Or am I doing it as I'm committed to this and this is my reason for allowing it to happen because
Yeah.
I'm going all in for it?
Yeah.
You know?
And it goes back to the idea that you were talking about before, which that we're gonna have to deal with at some point in time.
Yeah.
Whole idea of just maintenance.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Maintenance,
saying? Like I'm cleaning my bathroom,
but
or I'm sweeping the floor or
maintenance
something.
maintenance has arisen because it has replaced hope. People don't have
Wow.
hope anymore. So
Wow.
because they don't have hope anymore, maintenance, the stock of maintenance just went to the roof. Now people are like, you know what? That's why you hear every conversation you hear on these podcasts, out in the street, at the bar, wherever you are, at the
Mhm.
church parking lot. Everyone is saying, "Well, girl, ain't you be lucky to find this? There ain't nobody out here." But nobody is denouncing their need to be fulfilled. You're not going to
Right.
denounce that. You're just denouncing the hope of maybe finding someone that actually can walk this out with me in a legitimate way. And so as a result, what people are doing is just
Right.
saying that, well, if I can't get that part of it, I'm going to get the maintenance. Heck, why do you think the stock has gone through the roof? And look, y'all don't y'all counsel me yet. But anyway, why do you think the stock has gone through the roof for that nuance of a toy called the Rose for women? They even got men's stuff coming out under the same brand. But the point is these
Wow.
things are all about maintenance. They're to
Right.
assist you in your
Yeah.
self-gratitude amongst your lack of hope. That's what they're for.
Okay.
And so that's
Okay.
why it's blowing up the way it is, because folks is like, look, I need to give me this alternative because I can't depend on these women, on these Negroes out here. I need to be able to handle me at my own expense.
Mhm.
So let me do this.
Right.
And so we gotta
That's dude. You know what? Let me just jump in and just say this. At this present point in time, I'm so
yeah,
glad I'm married. I
you
mean,
better be.
that I didn't know it
You
was
better
like
be.
that out in
Oh man, it's
like
a
that.
serious
I'm so
it's
glad
a
I'm married right now
yeah,
because
it's
again, I don't want to be just maintenance. And
yeah,
when you describe it like that, it takes it to such a debased, uh, basic
yeah,
pedestrian thing. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Where it no longer holds the value that it should have between me and my wife. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
I can't imagine, going from this one to that one to this one to that one to maintenance and service the needs that I have.
yeah.
That is crazy to me because now what we've done is we have detached the emotional value, the
Mm-hmm.
spiritual value, and the mental value that goes
Mm-hmm.
along with that. So now
Yeah,
it's no longer the apex or the culmination or the consummation of the relationship. Now it's just a function.
yes. That's it.
Now
It's
it's
like
just
it's almost like it's like going into the local hardware store and seeing all the tools on sale. It's a
yeah,
tool exchange.
yeah.
That's what it is. And this is why I come back to the thought of, if we're honest, sex is the moral compass of love. And what it does is this is why I used to talk about, if you remember them old shows, when I would always talk about love and the turn up. And I
Mhm.
would always say people are not honest about their totality of desired pleasure, or
Okay.
whatever they're open. Let's just say what they're open to, because
Yeah.
folks will go along to get along, but then when you leave, they be like, well, girl, it was all right, but he didn't do this. Remember,
Wow.
Tyrone did that. You understand what I'm saying? So people
Right.
withhold those things that they really, really desire out of fear of being, you don't want to be talked. If I tell Adam I like XYZ, he may look sideways at me. But guess what? I would rather risk him looking sideways and dealing with him in the moment
Yeah.
than you dealing with the repressed and suppressed feelings and then going out and acting on them aside from Adam. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Because
Well, I
that's
mean,
what'll happen. Yeah.
what happened to actually talking about that kind of stuff? Laying
Yeah.
that stuff out on the table and saying the things that you like or don't like.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
happened to having an honest, transparent dialogue with your person and saying, hey, you know what I'm saying? Because here's the thing. If they're not doing it and you don't feel satisfied by whatever it is that you do,
Yeah.
then more than likely you're going to go find somebody who will.
Absolutely.
But see,
Yeah.
the thing of it is, you can preempt all of that by just having an honest, transparent conversation and saying,
Absolutely.
blah, 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 blah. This is where I am. This is what's going on. And see, this conversation, this dialogue that we have encompasses the totality of who we are as people.
People. Yes. Yeah.
That's the thing that we're missing. We're not just talking about functions and doing this and doing that and serving this and serving that. No, we're talking about honest, transparent, see my wounds communication and being honest about what's really going on with us. This has to do with, your aspirations, whatever your affections are, your likes, your dislikes. And understand, this is not a one-time conversation. This is an ongoing dialogue.
Yeah. Because you got to grow. You got to grow into it.
Every single day. Every time we come into contact with each other, we ought to be learning something new about each other. Every time we come across each other's paths, we ought to be understanding each other a little more deeply than we did before. You know what I'm saying? So this is something that we have to continue to do deliberately, thoughtfully, and just continue to practice it every single day.
Man, let me tell you, this is a good segue to one of the other things that are so popular in related to this topic that we're having about the communication lines that are produced from sex is infidelity. And so one thing I wanted to always point out is people cheat because they feel, I mean, there's a number of reasons why people cheat, but one of the main reasons, from my opinion, that people cheat is because if people feel like they feel left empty from the exchange. Like you can have an exchange, but there's nothing like somebody doing something and you getting together with a person and then leaving like, wait, I don't feel left with the substance that's supposed to. And to be honest, unless you're in a serious, committed relationship where someone is committed with all intents and purposes of building the commitment with you, you're going to feel that way. It's no way around it. You are going to feel like almost like it was optional sex.
Right.
You're going to feel that way because the commitment isn't intact. And so one thing about infidelity, when you have a solid couple that's intimate with one another and you know one another's bodies really well, or all these kind of things, one thing you can't ignore is when a strange spirit is introduced.
Oh, no.
When a strange spirit is introduced, people, especially, listen, now don't get it, now women, don't get it twisted. Men have a conscience to pick up things as well, but I think in this area, women are particularly gifted to pick up the strange spirit. To me, I think women, because we are the depositors, we're going in. Women are the receivers, so they're the one who are, quote unquote, being placed under our local anesthesia. So they know either when they're conscious or when they're awake. So they're awake when they're saying, hey, something is off. Something, I know he's saying he loved me like he always do, but something is off. And so I can tell you from experience, infidelity from when you entertain a strange spirit as a man, it leaves an emotional tattoo on your spirit. It messes you up, and it's like, because you learn anything will mess up someone that learns to accept guilt. When you learn, the whole goal of guilt is to turn from it and say, I'm not going to do that no more. That was wrong. But when you learn to repetitively live with guilt, you become a morphed version of yourself. that's not the normal person that you've been, which makes it sometimes harder for you to get back to that person that you once was, because you have now learned to suppress guilt. So it's almost like, it's when men have probably heard women say this in life: you don't have no feelings. You're probably right. In the moment, it's suppressed, it's tattooed, because you have learned to suppress guilt.
Right.
And that's something that infidelity will mess up your chemistry. I don't care how good a relationship you got outside. You can talk all you like, but if the person is human, if you could pinch yourself and feel something, you're going to start to feel as though I'm making up a narrative. I'm making up a conversation because what I should be feeling is not there, because I'm divided. I'm split. My intimacy is scattered. I'm over here. I'm not as attached and adapted to this person that I need to be, like I made the promise to. So I have to fix this some kind of way. And we try to fix it. We men always will tell you, oh, don't worry, I'm going to do this, that, and other. And that only lasts for a week. Then we go right on back to the person. But it takes commitment. It takes real commitment to say, I am not going to drop the ball on this one.
Yeah.
I'm the one who pulled out the sword and made a slice, and I'm the best surgeon to stitch it back up.
Wow.
You have to look at it that way. But, it takes it's a hard pill to swallow. But if you want to maintain intact some hope of your intimacy post infidelity, that's what it has to take.
Yeah. I was going to kind of jump on the idea that you were talking about how often exchange makes you feel empty, particularly when you're outside of the covenant of marriage.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, in my experience with my wife, the experience in terms of exchange, I know what it is. The exchange has always been fulfilling.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
I never walk away. I don't walk away feeling empty. And here's the thing, though. So I know you said that we are depositors, and you're absolutely right. We are the depositors, absolutely. Yeah. But we're also receiving. Now, we might not be receiving anything on the physical level, but I guarantee you, you are receiving emotional stuff. You're receiving spiritual stuff, and you're certainly receiving mental stuff. I guarantee you. Don't let a song come on that was your song. Yeah. And that song don't hit a memory chord in your mind.
Yeah.
I guarantee you. She is walking through the corridors of your mind, pulling down all the drapes. Setting everything on fire.
You. But what you're talking about now is a key point. I think that when people are choosing, like you're saying, if you're looking to nourish that duality of communication from outside the bedroom to inside the bedroom, you have to ask yourself, are we having sex or intimacy from our conscious beings, or from the I want to say, what is it? It's like the connections that you guys share. It's like a heart connection, right? Are you having it there? Because conscious sex will take you into the realm of snapshots. Let's just say one day you intimate with your person, and maybe some angles ain't doing it for you, or in your mind it's not looking a certain way. Guess what? You tap into the conscious, and they go Buffy the body. Just making an example, just making a joke. And you just sitting there like, oh. And I'm telling you, it's a real thing.
Right.
Women do it, men do it. You tap into those conscious beings to make up for the deficit of the moment.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's important that if you are tapping into the thing, period, to make sure you all are like, we locked into where we need to be. If not, it can take you into some areas that's like really treading in some muddy waters.
Yeah. Well, that's part of the problem when you have been with a lot of others, and they deposit whatever memories, or in terms of your experience with them, you create those memories. So those memories are deposited within your mind. So when you go to meet the next one, then that memory that was created, it's going to pop up. I guarantee it's going to pop up. I guarantee you.
I'll tell you.
It's going to pop up. It's going to be there. But here's the thing, though. So commitment says, all right, okay, if we're going to be with each other, then we create the memories with each other. And so whatever memories do come to mind are the memories that we created between the two of us.
Yeah.
So every time I remember something, it's because I was with you. I was with her. You know what I'm saying? And she was with me. And so whatever, when we do come together, those are the things that pop up when we're trying to figure out how can we top the last time. You know what I'm saying? Versus how do we compete with Tom, Dick, and Harry down the street that they were with just last week. You know what I'm saying? So that's really the way it should work.
You know, and now you get my brain is going into other areas. Now I'm thinking, you gotta, again, if you are concerned and care about what you have with your person, whether it be your spouse or your committed partner or what have you, you have to have the conversation. And it may be this kind of an off-kilter moment, but you have to say, you know, do you feel that we are just as aligned as we communicate one another day to day, as we are outside of the bedroom, as we are in? Like, are we in sync? Like, you know, does our languages sync up? Like, are we really in sync, or are we acting away here and then adjusting there? You got to have that conversation to be like, because in most times, I'll be willing to guarantee you most people's, their languages are not saying the same thing. They're saying two different things outside the bedroom, inside the bedroom. But that defeats the purpose of being a partnership. It's supposed to be unity, unify, and in sync. So if there is something off, 9 times out of 10, somebody is not listening or somebody's not communicating enough to say, hey, I know, especially if you have a great verbal communication. You have great verbal communication, but the physical is off. Somebody's not talking, somebody's not listening, and somebody's not putting in the right effort. But you got to be honest and say to yourself, just like that person wants a certain amount of communication to feel sustained. We didn't talk enough this week and all this kind of stuff. There's something that they're desiring there, but then there's also something they're desiring in that room. And so you got to make sure those things are aligning up, and not just, you know, you got to ask yourself, am I really giving a good quality of effort here? And, you know, or am I just, you know, doing this thing? But, you know, I wanted to say this, and we keep circling back to the whole covenant thing, but I'll say this really quick. You ever notice how you sometimes buy certain things and it'll tell you, if you use, you're going to break the seal. Like, there's a seal there. It's like a guaranteed of certification of freshness. It'll tell you, don't break the seal unless you're intended to use. And once you break it, you must immediately refrigerate. Right. And so you got to think about it. If we're breaking what's supposed to be a seal and covenant outside of covenant, we are dealing in rotten stuff. Do you understand? It's not being refrigerated. The covenant is the covenant part is refrigerating the freshness of the ingredients. But if we are breaking the seal outside of covenant, we dealing in rotten situations, which brings up the toxic wastelands. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's what's happening when we choose to deal on that side. Yeah, when we choose to deal like that, that's just like, when you think of it, that it's like, man, you know, so yeah, we have to really think about that, you know.
That's rough, bro. That's rough, because so if you think about it in practical terms, so everybody that you have had the opportunity to engage or encounter, that seal was already broken. So what they're offering you is something that somebody's already used. I don't eat after hardly anybody, with the exception of my wife. And even then, it better be something that I actually want. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
So you coming after? Hey, don't stop with me.
You must always want it now, anyway. So
don't stop with me. Here's the
thing. Oh gosh, but yeah, man.
Here's the thing, though. So when you bring that analogy out, that's got to make you stop for a minute and
think.
Not only am I offering something that is no longer fresh because the seal has already been broken, and if I'm outside, like you said, the parameters of marriage, which is the refrigeration unit, which always keeps it fresh. that's going to keep
Wow.
that fresh. Okay. If I'm outside of that place, so that means whatever I have offered is no longer fresh,
Yes.
and whatever
Wow.
they have offered is no longer fresh.
Wow.
So we both toxic, we both
Yeah.
stanky, we both inedible, we're both undigestible. We
Oh,
can't be received because
yeah.
we're not suitable to be
For
eaten or
consumption.
to be for consumption. Dude, that's some
That's
whoo.
deep. That's
That's
deep. But I'm telling you.
that's
Yeah.
a lot right there, man. That's
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you're gonna have a whole lot of people coming at you for that. I just helped you out with the analogy, but you're gonna get some emails off that one. I promise. You're gonna get some
No, when you think of it like that, because that came to me last night, I was thinking for some reason I had this thought of that when you see those things that they say when you break it, it's like you're not guaranteed the freshness once you break it unless you refrigerate it as those instructions give it, right? So if you think if we're out here breaking it, we're not if it's not it's broken and it's not refrigerated, it's open to the elements. And so
Ooh,
this is what also makes it open to other things that shouldn't be
man.
included.
So
Infidelity, all those other things, you know?
oh my God. So
Yeah.
now we got flies and bugs
Yeah.
and
You
bees flying
right.
around something that should have
That
been
should be
closed up
kept. That should be
and put in the
kept.
refrigerator
Yeah, yeah,
for
for sure.
later use.
Yeah.
Closed up, put in the refrigerator for later use.
Yes, yes.
Bruce Oliver said spoil or stale.
Yes.
He also
Yes.
said half eaten. So we're
Wow.
sitting around here offering ourselves to one another, half eaten, spoiled. Okay.
Yes.
We got
Yes.
mold on us. We're contaminated. Not only
Yeah.
do we have all types of other contaminants coming from other people, but just the environment itself,
Yes.
adding all types of particulates and making us toxic people. And that's why we have attitudes, and
Yeah.
we don't even understand why we have attitudes. That's why we're going
Yeah.
around kirking off, and we don't even know the reason why we're kirking off, because we got all this stuff on the inside of us
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
we've allowed ourselves to be exposed to.
Yeah.
Man, you know what?
It's mixed, we come up
Uh,
with them, we get this mixed bag. But if you think about it, it makes all the more sense. While think about it, mental health and its issues are at an all-time high. But
mhm.
all of this stuff comes from the fact that we are out here in a sensual world storm.
Yeah,
We're just out here. People are just doing whatever, however. I'm outside, I'm over here, I'm doing
yeah,
this. If
yeah,
I
yeah,
choose to do that, I can. So
yeah,
then we are dealing with an engulfing of spirits from
yeah,
all over. And so we
yeah.
wonder why we have crazy people gotta medicate themselves to
Right.
relax, or it's
Yeah,
gotta have wine or some kind of drink to feel leveled off, or let me get some weed to
yeah.
feel cool. It's because you have wrecked your spirit to a point and you have not realized that you're not well, right? You got to
Right.
come to the point that I'm not well. I put myself in a position, and so I should not have to live my life medicated to function. And you're medicating
Mm.
because you're suppressing disappointment, pain, rejection, one night stand, ghosting, this, all of these little nuggets of abuse, they tug at you. And
Right.
so the more you continue to open that unsealed box and continue to let it go on out. So now, guess what? Now think about how that air traffic controller in that of the man
Mhm.
can no longer speak to that box
Yeah, because they're
because
not connected.
but because once those contents are open, guess what the manufacturer will say? We don't no longer support it.
Right. You
You're
voided the
not
warranty. You
your
voided
account
the
is not
warranty.
active. So
Yeah, I got
now it's just a box over there and a man with a tool over here.
you.
And
Right.
so it's just we come together to try to make what we have happen, but it doesn't, it doesn't work, right?
Ooh,
They don't talk
this
to each other.
right, right, right,
Yeah, they
right.
don't talk to
That
each other.
that is Lord have mercy.
I
That's
just
some
don't
stuff
think
right there.
I don't think we understand enough how much our sex lives speak for us.
Yeah.
Your sex life, it speaks for you and it shows up on you more than you think. We walk around here in silent and think, well, my business is my business and all these things, but we don't realize that what those remnants that show up on us as a result of sharing ourselves outside of covenant, it
Mhm.
shows. It
Yeah,
shows on your face, your countenance, your
yeah.
actions, things you say, all of your emotions, the way you react to certain things, the way, certain rhetoric that you say out your mouth, all of those things expose us for where
Yeah.
we are.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah, and wow, man, that oh
yeah,
god, this joint is so deep. It's so deep
yeah,
because here's the thing, though. No, this is the thing that I was thinking. The fact that we, and I think I might have said this before, but it certainly bears repeating again, is the fact that we really, 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 really uh, don't understand, or rather, we discount the significance of what it means to have a sexual encounter with somebody.
yeah,
We kind of regulate it to just a physical event.
yeah,
We kind of put it in that box and we keep it in that box. We don't realize that when we do that, when we're in that sphere, when we're in that place, there's more happening than what we can see with our naked eye.
yeah,
There is an exchange and an engagement of emotions. There's
yeah,
an exchange and an engagement of mental thoughts,
yeah,
aspirations, and affections.
yeah,
There's an exchange of spiritual activity that
yeah,
happens between the two people.
yeah,
Okay, you
yeah,
know, and here's the thing. Here's the thing that again I want to go back to because I think it really brings the point home. When you have opened that jar of who you are as a person,
yeah,
and you expose it and you give it to the other person, okay, and now, again, within the confines of marriage, we can keep this thing fresh, we can keep it valid, we can keep it going,
yeah,
okay, because it's in a place where it actually is supposed to be,
yeah,
where it won't become spoiled, where it won't become defiled, where it won't become contaminated with everything else.
yeah.
But once you take it out of the refrigerator of marriage, hello, somebody, and you put it outside in the heat in the middle of the day and expose it to everybody that you will expose it to, then
Yeah.
you end up with a mucky, mired, muddy mess.
Mm.
And that mess is you.
Wow.
And you walk around thinking you're okay, you're all right, when in reality, you got, ooh, Lord have
But
mercy.
I understood monkey and messy to be the best. But anyway, okay. But anyway, so no, it's not messy and monkey. What's the point? But anyway, so yeah. No, but seriously, no, for real. It's like
Mm.
um we I'm telling you, we just in a schizophrenic, like Bruce said, we're in a schizophrenic state of duality.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
the way we are living our minds, as you say, duplicatively,
Yes.
the way we are living is just, we are just, you know, I didn't intend for this show to come across like I'm just, I am pushing covenant on people, right? But the more I talk, the more it convicts me about it, if I'm honest.
Dude, because
Because
I wasn't even trying to go in that
I
direction.
wasn't
You
planning on
took it
going
there.
down this route. My thought was just to have a show about, like you said, the two-sided communication that sex produces.
Yeah.
And I wanted to bring to the light that um, a lot of us, a lot of the turmoil that we having in relationships is that we are simply not on the same page
Mhm.
verbally and
Yeah.
sexually.
Yeah.
And as a couple, I'm not just talking about regular people, but
Right.
people that
Right.
are in commitment and in
Yeah.
marriages. The reason 9 times out of 10 that a lot of this chaos is happening is because we're not on the same page.
Mhm.
We're, somebody is living the truth and somebody's living a lie. And
Okay.
so sex will expose one or the other.
It will.
It's going to expose
Well,
the lie or it will expose the truth. And
yep.
and because people, I don't know about women, but have been, well, I have heard it on that side too. But I have been in many a barbershops. Heck, I've been in rehearsals and heard men talk about dissatisfaction of sex.
Wow.
And I've heard women in salons, like, let's just say I used to go to a barber shop that a guy was, he was the only barber. It was a salon, and
Mhm.
they would rail the men. I would listen, but I
Wow.
wouldn't say them, but I would listen to them talk about different instances, how somebody is doing this and this for them good, but they're not good there. And
Right.
then I'm gonna go over here to this one because this one does this.
This is good.
So a
Right.
lot of this happens because we don't talk. It's
Yep.
not to say that people aren't, if somebody don't know how to do a certain thing, And if you haven't brought it to their attention, shame on
How they
you.
gonna know? How they
And
gonna know?
yeah, if a person is not producing something or not doing something right, they can't correct it unless you talk about it.
What you talking about? Yeah.
If you go on, because I know here's the other thing. If you're going to be involving yourself intimately, you got to open yourself to be honest with with the honest truth that comes with it.
Yes.
If something didn't feel right or you didn't like it, don't sleep on it and not say anything about it. Don't let it
Right.
just sweep it under the rug, because
Yeah.
trust me, it will come out in your behavior. You'll be getting more dismissive. You don't want to hear nothing from that they got to say. You
Yeah.
don't really want to go out to dinner. Yeah, I'm good, because you know you really want them to leave so you can pull out the rose.
Yeah.
So, or the man can go. He can go in his man cave, his dirty magazines, or look on what's that porn? What's that tube? I forgot what that porn site. Something tube. Make a long story short, they go out here and do all these things. OnlyFans. Everybody has their outlets of dissatisfaction,
Right.
and so, but those can be mitigated when you talk. If
Yeah.
you say something isn't
Yeah.
right, it ain't feeling right, fine. I know we have this marriage, whatever, but I'd rather us get this together than us kind of walk around here estranged and
Right.
handling things on our own. You
Right.
understand what I'm saying? Yeah.
That's not a good place to be. And if you're married and you're not
Yeah.
talking to each other, that's the
Yeah.
worst place to be, because
Yeah.
it'll make you feel like a single person but married. You know what I'm
So
saying?
I have a confession before we go.
Oh
Do
Lord.
you know one of the things that used to scare me the most?
What's
Remember on the shows I would talk about people need to get to know the four seasons of
Yeah.
a person's,
Yeah.
and you need to know those different sides of people before considering marriage. You need to see them in all those seasons.
Right.
Well, for me, one of the things would always scare me was I would just imagine myself in covenant in a bad situation, sharing a room with a person in a bad situation. Like,
Yeah.
if it's
Yeah.
things ain't right, it's quiet. It's like, to me, I used to liken that as to being in a prison cell. Like,
Okay.
you in a prison cell because somewhere you don't want to be. I don't care if it's
Right.
your spouse or woman or not. If
Yeah.
no one wants to lay somewhere that's hellacious,
Yeah.
you want to
Yeah.
be somewhere. It's not to say you're not going to have issues and problems, but the issue comes when the people can't let it go. And I used to always think in my mind, when you're thinking about a partner, does this person have the propensity to let a disagreement go, to agree to disagree, or are they going to drive the knife until you are unconscious? So you got to think about that. And so the thing I had to wrestle with was, there's the one side that you're afraid of about the bedroom, but then there are your actions that you love about the bedroom. So
Yeah.
you got to come to a middle ground and get it together and
Yeah.
overcome it and just let it be. But
Yeah.
those things, that whole argument thing it gets tricky, because like we said last week, it maintains the temperature of the home. And
Mhm.
no one wants.
I'm frozen. Oh my God. What happened? Show's still going. I'm stuck. I must be frozen.
Back, I think the Wi-Fi is acting a little weird.
Whose Wi-Fi? Was it mine or was it yours? I couldn't tell.
Wi-Fi was acting a little.
Okay. And you're out again. Am I live? I can't tell if he's live or if I'm live. Can somebody talk to me? I'm looking at my phone. Oh my God.
Can you hear me? Oh yeah, no, it's perfect now.
Okay.
No, it's perfect timing, because we're right at our hour.
Yeah.
But it got everything we needed to say out.
Right.
No, but anyway, yeah, we,
Oh,
as usual, you guys got us all worked up on this, but we appreciate y'all
Yeah.
hanging in there. Thanks.
Thanks, Bruce and
But
Danny.
yeah, we
that.
appreciate you all for tuning in, and
Yeah, we're gonna make this
y'all
better.
keep us
We're gonna make
on
it better. We're gonna work
time
on
next
this technician,
time.
this connection and everything. Charles, you
Yeah.
still
With
there?
our connection for some reason, but anyway, Lord willing,
Lord willing. And the creek don't
y'all
rise.
be safe out there.